Before we really get going today, I need to read our mandatory disclaimer. This podcast is distributed free of charge on all major platforms for educational purposes.
Right, exactly. And, educational is kind of a mild word for what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Because the stuff we're looking at might actually just completely rearrange the furniture in your mind.
I am already feeling that vibe. It's relaxed, but also a little chilling in a really cool mind-bending way, obviously.
Oh, for sure.
We're just hanging out, and we are absolutely ready to have our minds blown.
It really is the best way to approach this material. So today, we're doing a deep dive into session 432 of the early sessions, book 9 of the Seth Material.
And just for the record keepers out there listening, the date of this particular record is August 28, 1968.
1968.
Which is wild.
It is. I mean, a hugely volatile year in history, right?
Yeah.
But meanwhile, in this random room in Elmira, New York,
Right.
Jane Roberts and her husband, Robert Butts, were channeling information that, well, it feels like it fell out of a sci-fi novel from the year 3000.
Seriously. I was reading through the source material, and despite the date on the page, the concepts about time and reality and consciousness, they're totally futuristic.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel retro or dated at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And to give you a little context before we really start unpacking this wasn't just a standard session between Jane and Robert.
Right. This was different.
Exactly.
Mm.
This session was actually part of an ESP class that Jane was holding. And that distinction really matters because when Seth, the entity that Jane channeled, when he spoke to a class, he often dealt with these high-level mechanics of reality.
Right.
He wasn't just, giving personal advice about daily life.
He was explaining the engine of the universe.
Exactly. The underlying physics of it all. We were talking about probabilities, electrical realities, and the actual nature of godlike figures.
I love that. It's like we get to peek under the hood of reality. So our mission for this deep dive is pretty wild.
It's ambitious.
Very. We are going to explore the idea that time is completely fake, that we are essentially gods to our own atoms, and that human history is basically being nudged by time-traveling families.
That is a very succinct way to put it.
Well, I try. Okay, so let's unpack this first concept. The first thing that really hit me in this session was this whole idea of time. Seth basically comes out swinging against the very idea that time is real.
He really does. He starts by discussing these personalities and other systems of reality.
Yeah.
And he says that while they might use time structures, they realize quite well that these structures are constructed solely for the, and this is a quote, organization of experience.
Organization of experience.
Yeah.
That is such a corporate phrase for something as huge as time.
It is, but think about what that actually implies.
Yeah.
In our modern physics, we tend to think of time as this fundamental, unbreakable law, right?
Right. The arrow of time. It only moves forward.
Exactly. Entropy increases. We are stuck in the river, flowing in one direction. But Seth is arguing that time isn't the river at all. Time is just the filing cabinet.
Okay, wait. I really like that. Let's dig into that analogy a bit. A filing cabinet.
Yeah. Think about it like a computer desktop. Imagine you have a really messy desktop on your laptop. You have thousands of files. Photos, documents, memes, just everything.
It's like my actual laptop.
Right. And if they are just scattered everywhere all at once, you can't find anything. It's just visual chaos.
Complete chaos.
So what do you do to fix it? You create folders. You make a folder labeled 2023, another one for 2024, one for work, one for vacation.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you.
Those folders are what help you navigate all that raw information. But the folders aren't the computer itself.
Right.
And they aren't the actual data. They're literally just a user interface that you built so your brain doesn't completely short-circuit from information overload.
Wow.
And Seth is saying that time is exactly that. We created these past, present, and future folders so that we don't have to experience every single thing that has ever happened to us all at the exact same moment.
That's actually incredibly helpful. So when he says in the text, quote, "They do not suppose any given time system to have any reality of its own," end quote. He means they know they're just looking at the folder structure. They aren't looking at the hard drive.
Precisely. They know it's just a UI. And he actually goes on to say that it's really difficult for entities who haven't been in our physical system to understand why we take time so seriously.
Because to them, it's obviously fake.
Right. He says, quote, "You give time and images a reality of their own, as if they existed apart from you."
We think the folders are realer than the files inside them.
We do. We obsess over the folders.
It's like getting mad at your calendar for making you old. The calendar didn't do it.
Yeah, In a way, that's exactly it.
Mm.
But this actually leads us directly into an even trippier concept in the session regarding form.
Oh man, this part melted my brain a little bit. The idea that form is not dependent upon mass.
This is a really crucial distinction in the overall Seth material. In our physical world, for us to consider something to be real or to have mass, we think it needs to persist through consecutive moments in time.
Right. If I pick up my coffee cup, I expect it to be there a second from now.
And 10 seconds from now.
Yeah, that continuity is what makes it feel solid.
Exactly. That continuity creates the illusion of solidity, which we call mass. But Seth completely challenges this assumption. He says that form is completely independent of time.
Which makes no sense to our brains.
No, it doesn't. He mentions the, quote, personality who sometimes speaks, which is him referring to his own larger entity, and he says this entity can actually change form at will.
Yeah, the quote that really stood out to me here was, as he thinks he is.
Yes, and he follows that up by saying he was never imprisoned by believing that one personality existed within one form.
I mean, just imagine that for a second. Try to really picture it. In our world, we are so completely obsessed with our physical form.
It's everything to us.
It's our entire identity. But for these advanced entities, form is just, it's like clothing or a mood ring.
A mood ring is a great comparison.
No, seriously, think about it. If I wake up feeling really light and airy, just totally relaxed, then poof, my form is a cloud.
Just instantly.
Yeah, and if I wake up feeling stubborn and I just want to block everybody out, bam, I'm a literal brick wall.
It sounds whimsical when you put it like that, but it really points to the deep mechanics of this reality. Because if form follows thought, and thought changes instantaneously, then in a non-time reality, you are just this fluid, geometric shifting of consciousness.
You're not stuck.
Right, you don't get stuck in a single body unless you firmly believe that you are stuck.
Which totally explains why we are stuck here. We believe in the filing cabinet. We deeply believe that we are the filter.
And because we believe so strongly in the continuity of these consecutive moments, we actually generate the mass.
Wow.
We literally and metaphorically weigh ourselves down with this rigid belief in time.
Okay, so here is where the session gets really interesting. And by interesting, I mean simultaneously terrifying and beautiful.
The cellular stuff.
Yes. Seth pivots from these massive cosmic concepts to talking about our bodies, but not just the body as a whole, the actual microscopic cells.
This is honestly one of the most unique and profound insights in this entire session. We usually just think of our bodies as these, meat suits.
Just biological machines that keep the brain alive.
Exactly. But Seth flips that script entirely.
He says that we are, and this is a quote, aiding in the development of those consciousnesses. He is talking about the literal atoms and molecules inside our organs.
Right. It's this concept of the osmosis of thought. Seth claims that the cells and molecules within your body aren't just dead, dumb matter. They possess a kind of capsule comprehension.
Capsule comprehension.
Yes, and they are actively learning from you.
The quote is, they learn from you almost through a process of osmosis. So my liver cells are just sitting down there doing their regular liver job, but they are also, what, him watching me, listening to my thoughts.
In a spiritual and psychological way, yes. Seth says they are dimly becoming aware of the existence of conceptual thought, purely because of our influence over them.
That's wild.
We are essentially the God figure to our own microscopic cells. Our incredibly complex thoughts, our swirling emotions, our intellectual struggles, all of that high-level energy filters down to them.
I gotta say, that is a lot of pressure.
It really is. It definitely adds an entire new layer to the idea of self-care.
Seriously, because if I'm super stressed out about a deadline and I'm eating junk food and just radiating negative thoughts all day, am I just being a terrible parent to my cells? Like, sorry, little guys, dad is having a really bad day. I hope you enjoy swimming in all this cortisol.
It's a funny way to phrase it, but the metaphysical implication there is incredibly profound. Because Seth actually calls these cells incipient and latent personalities.
That is the exact phrase that stopped me cold when I was reading. Incipient personalities.
He informs us that these tiny consciousnesses actually represent the future inhabitants of our system.
Okay, slow down. Just so we are totally clear on this, the tiny spark of life inside an atom in my left fingernail right now might eventually evolve to become a full human being in some future cycle.
That is exactly the implication here. By simply living our daily lives, by processing this complex physical reality, we are essentially training the next generation of souls.
Wow.
We are the current trailblazers, And the physical matter that literally makes us up is the student body.
But it's a symbiotic relationship, right? Because Seth also says, at the same time, they support you.
It's total reciprocity.
Yeah.
They provide the necessary physical framework for you to exist and experience this reality. And in exchange for that service, you provide the psychic framework that allows them to evolve toward conscious endeavor.
It really makes you look at your own hand a little differently. You aren't just looking at skin and bone, you were looking at a classroom.
A classroom containing billions of students.
Okay, so we are the gods to our atoms. But then Seth zooms way out again. Because if we are the gods to the small stuff, who are the gods to us? Or, as he calls them, the cosmic helpers.
This whole section is absolutely fascinating because it touches on ancient religious mythology, but it strips away all the dogma and just looks at the pure mechanics of it. Seth discusses these highly advanced personalities, entities that are so evolved that they are alien entirely to our system.
And just to clarify, when he says alien, he doesn't mean little green men from Mars.
No.
It means alien-like.
Yeah.
They completely do not understand linear time anymore.
Correct. They exist fully in non-time. They can see the entire filing cabinet all at once. But the thing is, they want to help us. They genuinely want to help our civilization develop and avoid disaster.
But there's a huge problem.
Right. They're simply too advanced.
This is the entering the camouflage problem.
Exactly. If a massive being that perceives all of time simultaneously tried to interact with us directly in its raw form, it would just be chaos.
We wouldn't be able to comprehend them at all.
And they wouldn't be able to relate to our linear day-to-day struggles. As Seth puts it, quote, "It would be extremely difficult for our friend to limit himself to existence within your time schedule. Its illusion is far too apparent to him."
So they can't just show up as they are. They have to put on a disguise. They have to take on the camouflage of our physical system.
They have to become human. They have to literally be born, wear a physical body, and temporarily accept the rigid rules of our game.
And this is where Seth makes a really specific reference that I think is so important for you to hear. He talks about the dynamic of the son versus the father.
Yes. He says in the text, and this is in parentheses, quote, "This is why the father did not go himself, but sent his son according to the religious story," end quote.
That is just such a cool mechanical take on Christianity. It wasn't just this purely mystical, unknowable decision. It was a practical necessity.
Exactly. The father, which represents the massive total entity, just couldn't function inside the illusion of time because he sees through the illusion way too clearly.
Right.
He wouldn't be able to play the role convincingly enough to interact with us.
Oh.
So he sends a son, which is just a smaller portion of himself, a projection. And that projection is capable of limiting itself enough to actually relate to the regular people he is trying to help.
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of video games.
Really? How so?
Okay, so imagine you are a top-tier pro gamer.
Yeah.
You are max level. You know every single glitch in the game. You can literally see the code of the Matrix.
Okay, I follow.
You cannot go play in the beginner lobby.
Right.
Because if you do, you'd completely break the game mechanics and nobody in that lobby would learn anything. You'd just ruin the experience.
That's actually a really fair analogy.
So what do you do if you want to help your friends who are just starting out? You create a Smurf account, a noob account.
Right, a secondary profile.
Yeah. You enter the game as a brand new level 1 character. You still have all your pro skills buried deep down, but you force yourself to play by the tutorial rules so you can help the other new players level up.
That is surprisingly accurate to exactly what Seth is describing here. The son is literally the Smurf account for the father entity.
Jesus was a Smurf account. That might be the hottest take we've ever had on this deep dive.
I am fairly certain traditional theologians would not agree with that phrasing, but the underlying metaphysics completely align. It's all about limiting your own power to make a genuine connection possible.
So these huge entities come down to help us, but they don't just do it one time and leave. And this leads us right into the section on the dynasties.
This is where the session gets really deep into human history and the mechanics of reincarnation. Seth mentions that there are certain personalities who return again and again to help our development, but they don't always come back as lone wolf prophets.
No, and this is the part that gave me chills. He says they very often appear as large families that become dominant and significant throughout periods of history.
Yes. The quote is, "Here the family represents an entity who has taken upon itself the nurturing of your civilization."
Just think about the implications of that. You look back at history, the Kennedys, the Medicis, the Rothschilds, or even ancient royal Egyptian lineages. We look at them and see a bunch of different distinct individuals. But Seth is saying we might actually be looking at one single spiritual entity that has spread itself out across multiple human bodies just to maximize its influence over the culture.
It makes perfect sense if you think about it purely in terms of efficiency. If you really want to steer the massive ship of human history, one single person can only do so much.
Right. They get assassinated or ignored.
Exactly. But a dynasty, a wealthy, powerful family that spans multiple generations, holds political power, shapes the art and culture, that is a massive multi-generational lever for social change.
And the craziest part is they aren't just randomly appearing when things get bad. They are actively editing the timeline.
This is the real mind-bending part of the session. Seth says, quote, knowing intuitively those changes which must come about in your future, they try to bring them about by appearing in your past.
That's time travel, but not in a DeLorean.
No, it's reincarnational time travel. Because these entities exist outside of linear time, they could look at our entire timeline at once. They see a massive disaster looming in the 21st century, and they say, okay, to fix that future event, we actually need to adjust the culture of the 18th century.
Wow.
So they project a portion of themselves into the past to gently nudge the probabilities in a new direction.
Which completely implies that the past is not done yet.
Correct. Seth states very clearly, even your time is basically plastic.
Plastic, moldable.
We always think the past is set in stone, that it's locked away. But Seth says the past and the future are being manipulated simultaneously by these cosmic helpers. They are constantly tweaking the script, revising the events to ensure the best possible outcome for the whole civilization, or as Seth calls it, value fulfillment.
It really makes you wonder about things like the Mandela effect or those weird historical anomalies we always hear about. Maybe it's not parallel universes. Maybe it's just the cosmic editors going back and fixing a plot hole in the past so they can save us in the future.
It certainly suggests that human history is a lot more fluid and dynamic than we are comfortable admitting to ourselves.
Speaking of fluid reality, let's talk about the one place where we actually get to experience this fluidity firsthand. Dreams.
Yes. The non-time environment.
Seth explains that when we dream, we are actually entering non-time. And that is the exact reason why our dreams are always so incredibly weird and disjointed.
Because we are so addicted to time sequences. Our conscious waking brains are hardwired for A to happen, then B to happen, then C.
Linear progression.
Right. But in the dream state, we step completely out of that filing cabinet. We are suddenly exposed to the raw data of reality.
And to our physical brains, it just looks like a total mess.
Jumbled and without organization is how Seth puts it.
I actually came up with an analogy for this one too while I was prepping.
Let's hear it.
Imagine you are trying to read a novel, but instead of the words being printed one after another, sentence by sentence, every single word in the entire book is printed directly on top of each other on the exact same page.
That is a brilliant description of how non-time is perceived by a linear mind.
Right.
The information is all there. The entire story is technically on the page, but your brain just can't read it. It just looks like a giant, chaotic, black ink blot.
So when we wake up from a crazy dream where we were somehow in two different cities at once, or we were talking to a relative who passed away 10 years ago while we were flying over a futuristic city, that is just us experiencing the all-at-onceness of reality. And our poor little linear brains are desperately trying to translate that raw data into a chronological story.
Exactly. The brain takes the non-time experience and tries to shove it forcibly into the time filing cabinet. And the result of that translation error is a highly surreal, disjointed narrative.
Man. Okay, Seth wraps up this whole incredible idea by comparing time to space.
This is a really heavy concept to land on, but it ties everything together. He says, quote, non-time is as plastic as space seems to be.
Can you break that down for me a little?
We'll think about physical space. We know you can arrange space. You can build a wooden table, you can construct a chair, a house, a mountain. Space can be formed into solid objects.
Right.
But space itself is not dependent on those objects. If you smash the table and burn the wood, the space that the table occupied is still there.
It didn't destroy the space.
Exactly. Seth is saying that time is exactly the same way. It can be molded into these objects we call minutes, hours, and eras, but it exists completely independently of those measurements. It is a fluid medium that we are playing in. It is not a rigid cage that we are locked inside of.
That is honestly so liberating and also pretty much impossible to fully grasp while you are sitting there staring at a clock on the wall.
It is the ultimate paradox of being human. We have to live our lives dictated by the clock while simultaneously trying to understand that the clock is a complete illusion.
So how do we even begin to wrap this up? Let's try to summarize these massive insights for everyone listening.
We have definitely covered a lot of ground today.
So here is a bulleted list of our main takeaways from this deep dive.
Go for it.
Time is merely a filing system, not an absolute reality. It's just a user interface we use for organizing our experiences.
Form does not require mass. Mass is just a psychological trick created by the continuity of time. We are actually fluid consciousnesses that only get heavy because we deeply believe in time.
Excellent points.
We are literally the parents to our own atoms. Our biological cells are constantly learning from us via osmosis, and they are preparing to become the future souls of this system.
The cosmic helpers religious figures like Jesus are actually just projections. They are sun aspects sent by entities that are far too vast to fit into our limited reality, acting as Smurf accounts to help us level up.
And the last one.
Human history is being actively guided by recurring soul families who treat time as completely plastic. They're constantly editing the past in order to secure a better future.
Just a casual Tuesday conversation,
Totally standard stuff. Nothing mind-blowing here at all.
But seriously, we really want to make sure we give proper credit where credit is absolutely due. This entire deep dive was based on session 432 of the early sessions, book 9 of the Seth Material.
Yes, and these incredible books are published by New Awareness Network. And honestly, if you think our summary today was wild, you really need to read the source material for yourself.
You really do. Seth's voice is so unique, it's authoritative, and it goes into an incredible amount of detail.
Do not just take our word for it. Please go study the Seth Material books yourself. You can find all of them at sethcenter.com/the-early sessions. That is absolutely the spot to get the real deal.
It is more than worth the effort. It's definitely not light reading, but it will fundamentally transform the way you see the physical world.
Before we officially sign off, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Something that has been rattling around the back of my head ever since we talked about the cells.
Oh boy. Go for it.
Okay, so if our cells are constantly learning from us via this osmosis of thought, and we are essentially the gods to them, unconsciously training them to eventually become human,
Yes.
who or what are we the cells of? Are we just the incipient personalities sitting inside the body of some much larger, massive cosmic entity? And what exactly is that entity thinking about right now that is secretly filtering down to us through osmosis, giving us these brilliant ideas that we mistakenly think are our own?
Wow. That is a genuinely chilling thought to end on. We might actually just be the liver cells of a galactic giant.
And on that note, try to be a good cell today. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.